Hi, my name is Bartek and welcome to e-Homestead channel. In this episode, I will show you our last changes in e-Homestead concerning color coding and visualization. So let's get started. Before we jump into colors, let's quickly remind how e-Homestead handles farm. So let's take a piece of paper and let's draw how our farm looks like. Okay, everything is ready. So let's draw our farm. My apology for my drawings, but I'm not very skilled in this. So let's say it's our farm. Here is a house, and here we have one group of beds, and those are long. Here we have a short block with shorter beds. Let's see, we have 3 long beds here and 2 short beds here, and I will call this side my house. And also our neighbor, let's call him a John. So that's a John's house. He shares with us a piece of his land, and we will have 2 beds here as well, and that's John's plot. And let's now we have everything drawn, so how we can move the drawing into Homestead. To do so, we need to go to Garden, Sites, and add new site. Let's call it My House as our first site, and let's configure site by site. We decided to have 2 bed blocks in My House site, so let's call it bed block 1, and let's add another bed block, but it will be bed block number 2. And we also said that let's say that the longer one will be bed block number 1, and we need to add some beds, 3, width and length in feet. So it's a bed number 1, bed number 2, and bed number 3. In a second bed block, we decided to have a shorter beds, let's say 25 feet. So it's a bed 1 and bed 2, also 25 feet. So that's how the My House plot site looks like. So let's add, as we said, John's house. There we have just let's say bed bed group John 1. Let's say it like this, and save it. New bed, it will be bed J plot 1. Can be like this one, and bed J plot like this one. And we said that it also will have 25 feet, so let's click on this one, change to 25. Okay, and now we have designed our farm. So next step is to add some plants. So here I have two plants already defined. The names are quite generic, just to do not confuse you by their setup. Let's check what we have here. Name is quite obvious. All fields were described in the info pop-ups, so you can read if something is not clear for you. So from the color coding, here you can click and choose a color, how your plant will be, say, color coded in a homestead. We prepared some color schemas. Many of those colors were prepared by the color brew guys, but we also added some colors to match full 12 colors set for every of them. But also, if you want to use some custom colors, you can choose any color you want from here. Same is with a picture. You can upload a new picture or modify the file that you already uploaded. So here you can see I have a quite big image of the seed spike. So I can use a crop tool. I can mark which piece of the image I would like to use. Here on the bottom you can rotate, just crop. Here I can see the preview. If I'm happy, just confirm and save. For now, there are two main differences between those two plants that I defined. It's a spacing, horizontal and vertical. Vertical, you can think about the spacing between rows, and horizontal is a spacing along the row. So it's a 1 feet spacing between rows and 1 feet between plants along one bed, one row. And the plant number 2 has a slightly different. It's a color coded green. We can change it. We use this pattern. So let's take an orange. And the horizontal is 1 as in the previous one, but the vertical is 2. So I will show you later how it affects all the calculations. So let's save it. For now, we have designed our farm and we have some plants added. So now it's time to start planning season. To do this, we need to go to garden and season planning section. Here you have two tabs, text and visual. Text is what you can be already familiar because that's the current version. Here you can be very precise, but this is all about the numbers. If you go to visual, you will see our new visual designer. What you can see here is it's a calendar with all your sites and beds. Every calendar by default is displayed 1 month behind and 5 ahead. So it gives us 6 months in total. You can change it here, but we will go to this a bit later. And also, here you can see there's John's side, 1 group, and two beds. Here is our house. Here we have 2 bed blocks and our beds in it. What you can immediately see is that the height of this bed, those 2 beds, is significantly different than those 3, and those 2 looks the same. And that's correct. That's because we defined those 3 beds as a 50 feet long, those as a 25. That's why they are 2 times higher than those and those 2 as well. Next thing, what you can see are those horizontal lines within every bed, and there are dividers. If you would like to plant something for a 1/4 of bed or half, 3/4, you can match to those lines. Also, every site has a slightly different highlighting. It is just helpful if you want, when you work in a zoom. Let's to zoom and pan, you need to hold Shift and use a scroll. Yeah, so now you cannot see labels, but you can still see that you change a site. Yeah, you can freely move the whole calendar. To add plant to calendar, you need to select it from the drop-down. As you can see, there's a red color and an orange. That's what I choose in defining plants. So let's take a plant number 1, and you need to click on a grid. Let's say I want to click here, and here you can see we have some rectangle that covers 3/4 of this dead bed and a few days on our calendar. As long as you have plant selected in this drop-down, you can click as many times as you want and add new entries. To stop this, you need to choose Clear Selection from the drop-down. If you added some seasons accidentally and you would like to delete them, just click on them to highlight them. You can select multiple seasons and press backspace both on Mac and Windows, and delete on Windows and function backspace on Mac. So let's delete those two. Here, as you can see, I have two different plant seasons selected. That's why I have to confirm. But if I would select just one, I can press delete and it will disappear immediately without confirmation. Now let's add back some plants to our calendar. Okay, here we have one, clear selection, and mark this one season. Here you can see it is from the 12th of March to end of March. We can grab and expand date range like this, and let's say we would like to cover all our beds. Let's say this one will be just half. Yeah, so you can see it is very, very easy. Let's add one more here, and the second one, let's say here, and give them a full bed. So that's more or less how the designing season looks like. There are also a few very important features. Let me add something to the very end. Maybe not to the very end, but let's say to June and ends in July. Clear selection. So now let's change some dates. Let's say from 1st of April to end of June. Now you can see that this season and that season are displayed in italic, which means that you cannot edit them. They are read-only, and that's because the whole season is wider than the date range you have selected here. So you can accidentally mess up something else. That's why it is displayed, but it is not editable. But let's back to our full view. Yeah, and here we can still edit. The second thing that you might notice is that our big rectangle was divided into smaller squares, and now it allows you to modify every bed. It is one season on a 3 beds, but now you can also make this alignment. Yeah, so it is also very handy if you have split or cross seeding, but if you move, all moves together. The same is if you change dates. It works the same way. And they shouldn't overlap, like this one. Yeah, so there are the main changes that happen after page load. Here you can also have full screen, so you can work on a full screen. On Windows, press Escape to close full screen. On macOS, you will see a full screen button, so you can click it again to back to the normal mode. So that's how the designing looks in BASIC. Let me show a few also quite handy features. Let's go back to season planning, but in a text mode. In a text mode, you can see that you have one row, 1.5, 2 rows. Let's open this one. Here we have plant number 1 and plant number 2, and those are the same seasons. I designed one below another. But what you can see, even there are 100% length of the bed, here we have just one row, and here we have 2 rows. And that's why I said it is important to define this spacing, because here we have defined 1 and 1, here was 2 feet. So there was not enough space to satisfy and to give us a more space for our plants. Also, we can go to calendar. That view will be also refactor, but let's see what we have for now. Yeah. Here is our month view, and we have that the plant is not seeded yet, so we cannot do much more with it, but you can see how many seedlings you need for this particular day, for this particular plant. Also, if you click here, you will see how many seeds you needed for this. You can go month back, and that's when you should seed this. And also, this is how many seedlings you will need. 175 it is demand, 181 is because I defined some overseeding, just in case some plants will be damaged or dry out or something like this. And so here we have all those informations as well. And here I have just information from the field, but if there will be non-direct seeding plants, there will be a greenhouse section on the top, and that helps you to plan and to estimate your workload for the selected period. And that's it in these few words about this color coding and season planning. If you have any questions, write to us, to our support team. And for now, thanks for watching and keep up the good work. See you next time.